Dad yelled. "You've been nothing but a disgrace since the day you were born." Mom added, "We wish you never existed." I straightened my jacket and said, "Then I'll stop existing to you." I walked out. 30 minutes later their voices filled the voicemail, 42 missed calls. Dad didn't even wait until I was all the way down the stairs. I was just reaching for my bag by the front door when he launched into it. Loud enough that I knew the neighbors could hear through the walls. That's always how it started. Public humiliation first, logic never. "You've been nothing but a disgrace since the day you were born." I froze for maybe half a second, hand on the strap. That one hit different. Not because it was new but because this time he said it slowly. Like he meant every word. Mom was in the kitchen behind him. She didn't raise her voice often. But she didn't have to. Her voice cut sharper than his ever could. "We wish he never existed." She said it like she was just stating a fact. Like she was done pretending. I didn't say anything right away. I didn't slam the door or scream or cry or beg for them to take it back. I just reached down, buttoned my jacket calmly, looked right through both of them and said, "Then I'll stop existing to you." And I left. It wasn't the kind of dramatic exit that people imagine. I didn't even take all my stuff. I left a few shoes under the stairs. A charger. A denim jacket I used to love before my mom said it made me look cheap. The wind hit me the second I stepped outside. It was colder than I expected. October always sneaks up on me like that. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even really know where I was going when I pulled out of the driveway. I just drove, ignoring every call that lit up the screen. 3 miles later I pulled into the parking lot of a Walgreens and just sat there for 20 minutes with the engine running. I wasn't crying. I was just empty. Then my phone vibrated so much it slid off the center console and landed on the floor. 42 missed calls. Most were from my mom. Some from my dad. One from Ellie. The one from her made my stomach turn. Ellie never called me unless something was wrong or she needed money. She was probably calling because her next tuition payment was due in 5 days. And she'd been acting like I was the lucky one for having a job while she focused on her future. That thought pissed me off more than anything. I opened my banking app. There they were, 2 scheduled automatic payments. One for my parents' loan, the one they couldn't qualify for on their own. The other for Ellie's out-of-state tuition. I stared at them for a long time. Then I hit cancel on both. It wasn't even satisfying. It just felt necessary. I drove back to my apartment. Tiny 3rd-floor walk-up. I hadn't even planned to go there originally. But I needed a place that was mine. Somewhere I could be quiet without someone asking what was wrong with my face. I put my phone on silent and dropped it in the kitchen drawer. Let them scream into the void. Let them feel what it's like when someone who's always there suddenly isn't. Because for once I was done being the one who fixed everything. By morning the calls had doubled. 68 in total. 20 voicemails. Texts too. Some apologetic, some angry, some long walls of guilt-laced nothing. I didn't open a single one. Instead I got dressed and went to work like it was any other Wednesday. I managed marketing for a mid-size real estate firm downtown. Nothing glamorous. But it paid well and they didn't micromanage. No one there knew anything about my family and that's how I liked it. By lunch, Ellie had sent me 4 texts and left a voice message that started calm and ended frantic. Her tuition deadline was 3 days away. I hadn't warned her. I didn't see the point. She'd never warned me when she decided to throw me under the bus in front of our parents. Never warned me when she lied about the car incident, or when she accidentally deleted the Venmo record that proved I'd covered her rent for 2 months last year. The difference was I remembered everything. Every time they took her side and made me feel crazy for defending myself. She texted again around 2 p.m. Just one word. Seriously? I ignored it and kept scrolling through ad mock-ups. Around 4:30 I got a call from an unknown number. Declined it. Then another. Then another. By the 5th one I picked up thinking it might be work-related. It was my mom calling from some burner phone or landline. She didn't yell this time. She sounded almost calm. But her words were still hollow. She said they were just upset, and I was being dramatic. She asked why I'd canceled the payments. She reminded me how hard they worked, how much they sacrificed. I didn't say anything. Just listened. Then I hung up. That night I opened the wine I'd been saving for my birthday and poured half the bottle into a mug. I sat on the floor by the window and stared out at the city lights. I should have felt good. Powerful even. But mostly I felt cold. Not the kind you fix with a blanket. Then Ellie showed up. I don't know how she found my address. Maybe through one of Dad's contacts. But there she was, banging on my door like the building was on fire. I didn't open it. She started yelling. First my name. Then curses. Then apologies. She said if I didn't fix the tuition payment she'd lose her classes. She'd lose everything. I stood by the door and waited for her voice to crack. Then she said something I wasn't ready for. They're saying they want to sell the house now. They're blaming you. I said nothing. Not even to myself. She left after that. By midnight I had 3 new voicemails. One from Dad, quiet and short. He asked if I was okay. No insults. No sarcasm. Just that. It didn't feel right. Something was coming. I could feel it. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was upset. Not exactly. It was more like a quiet tension sitting behind my ribs, keeping everything too alert to rest. I laid on the couch with the TV on mute, letting the light flicker across the ceiling. Every time I closed my eyes I kept thinking about the words. We wish you never existed. It wasn't just that they said it. It was that they meant it. For a moment in that kitchen they really believed it. By morning I was dead behind the eyes but still made it to work on time. Same elevator. Same polite small talk with the receptionist. But I felt like I was walking around in someone else's skin. Around 11 a.m. Ellie called again. I let it ring. Then she texted. They're not eating. Dad hasn't been to work. Mom's crying all the time. Are you really gonna let this destroy everything? She didn't get it. That's what stung the most. They destroyed it. Not me. Still, her words stuck in my head long after the message faded off the screen. At lunch, I left the office to clear my head. I don't even remember what road I turned onto or what song was playing. I was just driving. A loop through the city, nothing planned. I stopped at a red light just past Elm and thought about picking up a sandwich. That was the last clear thought I remember. When the SUV ran the light and slammed into the driver's side, I didn't even have time to brace. The sound was unreal. Shattering metal and glass. A moment of total chaos. Then black. I came to upside down, seatbelt digging into my shoulder, blood dripping somewhere near my ear. A woman was screaming outside. Someone else was calling for help. The worst part wasn't the pain. It was the quiet inside me. For a full minute I didn't care if I made it out. The EMT who opened the door kept asking me questions. I answered mechanically. Name. Date of birth. Can you feel your legs? Yes. Yes. No broken bones. In the ambulance I started shaking. Not from pain, from the weight of it all crashing down at once. At the hospital they ran tests, cleaned the cuts, wrapped my ribs. The doctor told me I was lucky. If I had been hit just a few inches over I wouldn't have walked away. I didn't cry until they handed me my phone back. Missed calls. This time over 100. 2 voicemails stood out. One was my mom. Her voice was almost unrecognizable. Panicked. Like the world had tipped over. She said they heard about the accident from a friend at the station. Said they were on their way. The second was Dad. He said, please just let us see you. I didn't mean it. I swear to God I didn't mean it. I don't care what it takes. Just, don't leave us like this. For a few seconds I considered blocking them again. Shutting it all out. Letting the walls stay up. But the truth was I didn't feel strong anymore. I just felt tired. The nurse asked if I wanted them in the room. I said no. She nodded without pushing. So they waited outside. I could feel their presence before I saw them. The kind of silence that builds when people who used to have power over you suddenly don't know where they stand. I laid in that stiff hospital bed, staring at the cheap ceiling tiles, trying to decide how I even felt. There was pain, sure. My ribs ached with every breath. But the bigger part was something else. Something heavier. When the door opened a few hours later, it wasn't my mom or Dad. It was Ellie. She came in slow, holding a little paper bag with a soda and a pack of crackers, like she thought that would fix something. She sat in the chair across from me, didn't say anything at first. Then finally, they're freaking out. I've never seen them like this. Mom hasn't stopped shaking. Dad cried in the car. I didn't think he could do that. I looked at her. She looked tired. Messy hair, hoodie inside out. Not her usual polished self. She said they didn't sleep all night. That when they heard about the accident, Mom nearly passed out. I said nothing. Then she said something I didn't expect. I used you. I know that. I let you carry everything so I didn't have to. I figured you could handle it, so I just let you. I never said thank you, and I never had your back when I should have. So I said nothing. But something cracked a little in my chest. She went quiet for a second, then added, "They know they messed up. But I think they're scared you'll never come back." I didn't answer. Instead, I reached for the nurse call button and asked to be discharged early. They told me I could leave by evening if I had someone to pick me up. Ellie told them she would. When I walked into the waiting room in hospital clothes and a plastic bag with my blood-stained jacket inside, my parents both stood up like they'd seen a ghost. Mom looked pale. Dad's eyes were red. He opened his mouth, then closed it. No one said anything right away. Then he stepped forward and said, "I was angry. But I didn't mean what I said. I swear to God I didn't. I don't even know why I said it. I let him talk. Let him stumble through the apology. He said they'd been too hard on me. That they'd leaned on me because I never complained. That they thought I didn't need them. He said he was sorry. Over and over. Like he was trying to rewind the whole thing." Mom came next. Hers was quieter. She said she'd been wrong about a lot of things. That she confused silence with strength. That she hated who she became when she lashed out at the people she loved. Then she said the words I'd waited my whole life to hear. "You didn't deserve any of it." I stood there, still holding the bag with the jacket, still in pain. And for the first time in years I let myself cry in front of them. Just for a minute. Then I said, "I'm not coming home. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I'll think about things. That's all I can promise." They both nodded. Not pushing. Not begging. Just finally listening. Between us. Ellie drove me back to my apartment in silence, one hand gripping the wheel, the other fiddling with the cracked edge of her phone case. It was late afternoon by then, sky shifting into that golden hour haze that made everything look softer than it really was. I leaned my head against the window, watching the city blur by. Every pothole sent a jab through my ribs, but I didn't complain. I was too focused on the quiet weight that had settled over everything. Not quite peace, not quite pain. When she pulled up outside my building, she didn't turn the car off. Just kept the engine running. Before I opened the door, she said, "If you don't want to talk to them again, I get it. But I meant what I said. I was selfish. You didn't deserve any of it." I nodded. That was enough for now. Inside my apartment, everything was exactly where I'd left it. A dish in the sink. An empty coffee mug beside the couch. The wine bottle still uncorked. It felt strange to walk back into that same space knowing that only a day earlier I was willing to cut ties forever. Maybe I still was. The phone kept buzzing every few hours. Not constantly anymore, but steady. My dad sent a message every night around the same time. Just small things. "Hope you're okay. Let us know if you need anything." Mom started texting too. She even sent a photo of the old family dog curled up on the couch with the caption, "He misses you." I didn't respond. Not at first. I needed space. And honestly, I wasn't ready to trust any of it. Because here's the truth nobody says out loud. Apologies don't erase damage. They don't undo the nights I stayed awake wondering what was wrong with me. Or the years I spent fixing their lives while they told me mine wasn't good enough. Still, the accident shook something loose. Not just in them, in me too. A few days later, I got a call from the bank about the loan. They said the account was now being handled by the original borrowers again. My parents had made a payment. A real one. And Ellie texted me a screenshot of her college's new payment plan. She was working part-time now. She'd started covering her own tuition. None of them asked me to turn the payments back on. That was the first real apology. I started therapy. Just once a week. A woman named Marla with calm eyes and a no-nonsense tone. I told her everything. The kitchen that day, the crash, the silence, the guilt. She asked what I wanted from them now. I didn't have an answer. One night, a week after the hospital, I found myself scrolling through old photos. Not the good ones, not vacations or birthdays, but the random in-between moments. Dad laughing on the porch with a drink in hand. Mom asleep on the couch with the dog tucked under her arm. Ellie mid-eye roll in a grocery store parking lot. They weren't monsters. They were just broken in ways I didn't cause and couldn't fix. That didn't excuse anything. But it made me start to wonder if distance could be something other than punishment. Maybe it could be healing. For all of us. Door you just open. 2 weeks after the accident, I texted my mom. It was short. Okay. Healing. Don't know what comes next. Just thought you should know. She replied 3 minutes later. I didn't open it right away. Just let it sit there for a while unread because part of me still didn't trust what would be inside. When I finally did, it wasn't what I expected. Thank you for letting me know. I won't push. Just grateful you're alive. No guilt. No questions. Just space. A few days later, I agreed to meet them for lunch. Neutral place. Middle of the city. Somewhere with a lot of people and a short menu, so there wasn't time for dramatics. They were already sitting when I arrived. Mom looked nervous. Dad looked older than I remembered. Neither of them reached out for a hug. They didn't even stand. I sat. For the first 10 minutes we talked about safe things. Work. The weather. The food. Then my dad cleared his throat and said, I sold the boat. The one in the driveway. Paid off a chunk of the loan. We're gonna make it work on our own now. We should have been doing that years ago. Mom nodded. And I stopped looking at you like a solution. I want to get to know you again. Not the version of you I thought I had to fix. Just you. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't some movie scene with tears and soft music. But something changed in that moment. Not because everything was fixed. It wasn't. But because for once they weren't trying to manipulate the moment. They were just owning it. I told them I didn't forgive them yet. That I didn't know when I would. Maybe I never would. But I appreciated the effort. And I meant it. In the weeks that followed, we took small steps. A coffee here. A text thread with dumb memes from Ellie. Eventually, I unblocked them from group chats. The payments never came back. They never asked. Ellie got a second job. Dad picked up weekend shifts. Mom started going to therapy too. There were still moments where things got tense. Old habits rising up, ugly and familiar. But now we didn't pretend they weren't there. We called them out. Sat with them. Worked through them. The last time we had dinner together, Dad handed me a photo. One I didn't know existed. It was me at 17, asleep at the kitchen table, surrounded by college brochures, calculator still in my hand. On the back, in Mom's handwriting, it said, You've always carried more than you should have. I'm sorry. That was the moment I felt it. Not the full sweep of forgiveness. But the start of it. Not a door swinging open. Just a window cracked enough to let in air again. We're not perfect. We never will be. But for the first time, I'm not disappearing to keep the peace. I'm showing up as I am. And they're learning to meet me there. That's enough. For now.